Nothing said on Empire is a recommendation to buy or sell any investments or products. All right, everyone. Welcome back to Empire. Very excited about this one. We've got the head of crypto at Robinhood, Johann. John, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
Very good.
Long time no see.
You've been busy.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, I remember, when was our last chat? DAS?
Yeah, that's right.
And you were like, there's a lot of stuff coming. I can't fully tell you everything, but there's a lot coming. So
I didn't lie. There was a lot of
no,
stuff.
you did not. You did not. I've never known you to lie, man. Tell me about the evolution of, I remember, so Vlad, I don't know if you were at Robinhood then. I would guess you were. Vlad gave a keynote at Permissionless, one of our conferences in 2022. I think it was in Palm Beach.
Yeah.
And kind of announced, they're launching this crypto wallet.
Yeah.
And that was, for me, like that. I mean, it was also our conference on bias, but I think of that as like the moment Robinhood started really pushing. Can you just, maybe we start macro with this and then go micro. Tell me about just the evolution. Like, was there always this grand vision? Was it kind of like, let's do a V1 and then a V2 and a V3? Like, tell me just the evolution of crypto internally at Robinhood.
Yeah, I think the vision was always here. Initially, we started with this idea that customers should be able to access any type of financial instrument that they are excited about. So crypto was one of them back in 2018. And that's when we launched, Bitcoin trading and Ethereum trading. But then we felt that the blockchain technology and crypto technology were actually able to power a lot more than just trading of assets. And we thought that it would be a great way for us to expand internationally, not just in the US, through crypto technology, because it's a lot easier to build. You can get access to 100 millions of people with just a wallet that people can manage themselves. And so that's where the vision started. We launched a wallet a few years ago, like you mentioned. It was purely crypto. And now we are starting to add what the real vision is, which is tokenized assets, being able to get yield on your assets as well, and doing more and more with your crypto. So the wallet is now live in 120 plus countries with tokenized asset on it, our stock token product. And I think it's been a great way for us to really expand where Robinhood is, basically.
Yeah. I feel like you've been doing crypto stuff for, I guess you're right, 2018 is when you launched Bitcoin. The spot tokens. But 2022 you launched the wallet. I feel like the Robinhood chain is you guys basically telling the industry, like, we are here. We are like a very real player in this game. Yeah.
I think we were always a real player. We are one of the largest US retail platform. But I think the chain for us was not just a side project. Like, I think what a lot of competitors have done is creating a chain just for the sake of it. What we wanted to create was this infrastructure and this backbone where we can build new products and we can bring to classic customers, retail customers, the benefit of the blockchain technology. And that's what we really wanted to do with this chain. So it's integrated within our main app. You can have the earn product that I'm sure we'll discuss about directly on it. And it's using the chain to actually give the benefit to the customer, even though they're not necessarily DeFi or crypto people. Because I think the two worlds are converging more and more. And so we need to stop this question of DeFi, TradFi. We just need to bring everything to the customer and make sure that they get the benefit of it.
Yeah, 100%. What is the actual benefit of doing all this stuff on chain?
I think there's a lot of accessibility question. Being on chain give us the possibilities that everyone can build on top of our chain. Is permissionless. We can connect to way more partners, liquidity providers, market maker, dexes, because it's all available to us. We don't need to create separate fixed line with every single market maker or every single partner on the chain. And I think that's the beauty of it. And the second beauty is what I was saying around the wallet. Available in 120 plus countries. All these people can now have access to our UX and UI, and at the same time still get good pricing because it's using the chain where it's integrated deeply with Robinhood. On the lending products, you get the best of DeFi with a high yield, but you also get the simplicity of Robinhood, the UX, UI, and everything that we build around it. So I think, that's just an evolution of the technology that we've been using for TradFi, where you don't restart your exchange anymore. You don't, stop working on weekends. Everything is live and it's on the blockchain.
Yeah. Internally, I would guess. So acquired this company Masari.
Yep.
And so now we have two systems, right? We have two CRMs, we have two, right? We have two databases. So I am going through internally connecting these, kind of integrating these two things. I would guess internally at Robinhood, there's all these benefits of doing things on chain, but you have two different systems, right? You have an off-chain order book, you have an on-chain order book, you have, a wallet here, you have self-custodial, non-custodial. How does that work internally? And then also how do you think about that maybe on like a 5 or 10 year time horizon? Is there a world where all of Robinhood moves on chain, or there's just no need for that?
I think for me, I see the convergence happening more and more. I think for trading equities, for example, right now we are still using very specific American exchanges, but you could see a world where you can connect to any exchange in the world using tokenized assets. The way that you can use your portfolio as collateral, right now it's mostly on margin and things like this, but for a lot of countries you can't easily do this. But with tokenized stocks, it's actually a lot easier. So I think the two worlds will converge. I don't know if the entirety of Robinhood will be on chain. I think that's maybe a bit more further than 5 years. Yeah. But I think you see the benefit of the chain, and I think the more we can bring this benefit to the customer, the more it would be a no-brainer for them to use the on-chain version of this product versus the off-chain, where they have probably less benefits from them.
Interesting. So you basically just want to build a system, some sort of backend system where you can actually just plug in all the liquidity venues that you want to. It could be a DEX, it could be a SEX, it could be a New York Stock Exchange, it could be NASDAQ, it could, right?
Yeah, and that's usually what we've been trying to do as much as possible to offer the best price to our customers. So, for example, even on our centralized platform, if you place a Bitcoin order, we will look at the pricing from different exchanges, different market makers, and we will only route to the best one. And I think that's what we want to do for everything, right? If you want to land your money, we'll look at multiple options and make sure that we will give you the best one. The one that we've built on chain, we feel is pretty good. But if tomorrow there is a off-chain option that is even better, like, we will absolutely look at it.
Yeah.
But I think for us, when you think about the cost saving that you have with a chain where everything can be automated through smart contracts, verified through actual code, and not just having middle player in between that are all taking like a cut of the fees or whatever revenue, I think blockchain will just bring so much improvements on a lot of pricing and a lot of projects that you try to do yourself, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I'm biased. I tend to agree. How does crypto work internally at Robinhood? So there's two different models that I've seen, which is it's kind of like linear versus horizontal, right? So do you have your own? Is there a crypto P&L, or is there like?
Yeah, we have a business line. So basically, Robinhood is pretty amazing in the sense that we have 11 different business lines that are making at least 9 figures in revenue, and that really diversifies the overall group. And so when crypto is a bit down, like this year, the sentiment is a bit lower, you can see other business line like prediction market that are actually going up. And
you have 11 business lines doing 100 million or more a year,
which is a great feat for a company like Robinhood. Like, we were able to diversify quite a bit, and I think that's really advantageous because the market is changing. During COVID, there was a lot of question on Robinhood. Will people still trade? And then people were trading, and then the rate increased, so people were like, okay, well, people are not going to trade as much. But all of this really diversified the overall business, and I think it really makes the company solid. And crypto is just one business line, and so we have our own P&L, basically with our own employees that are working engineering, product, and also the cost that we have to run the business.
Yeah. What is your like if you're looking at a P&L, what are your like revenue sub items here? Like, is it like trading fees, blockchain fees? Okay.
Yeah, basically these kind of things. We also, we acquired Bitstamp last year. On an exchange. So in institutional business, we have staking, we have lending, so different type of revenue there as well. And trading fees definitely still the largest portion of our revenue.
Yeah. Okay. So Robinhood itself has these 11 business lines doing over 100 million a year. If you fast forward a couple of years, what is the crypto P&L like? Could you have a couple yourself doing 100? Could you have staking is 50 million a year, lending is 100 million a year, and trading is what do you think that looks like?
Yeah, to be honest, I couldn't tell you right now because we haven't done this type of projection at the sub item level, but Our goal is also to make sure that crypto can be a business that is also diversified and not just based on volatility of trading. And I think that's what we've been seeing lately with institutions. For example, we have a lot of institutions that are just using our platform a bit as a white label platform to offer crypto to their customer, or some of them are using it to on-ramp and off-ramp between stable coins to be able to send more easily between their entities. So I think we will see more and more this diversification happening in our business.
So you guys have a crypto as a service business as well?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
It's been available for a while. We have some banks in Europe using it, for example, BBVA. And I think it's been pretty interesting to see, because for a lot of these institutions, they want to get into the space, but they also don't want to build everything from scratch. And so we are able to give them a solution kind of key in hand, and they can build on top of that.
Oh, interesting. How big is the team? How big is the crypto team?
I don't even know if we have an exact number, but it's pretty large now that we.
I guess you have Bitstamp. Did you acquire the Canadian company WonderFi?
As well, yeah. And Robinhood Canada is live since July 1st as well, so it's been a nice change.
You want to talk about the chain?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me about the chain.
Well, it's launched on July 1st as well, so 3 weeks in. Market cap is about 750 million. We have about $500 million in TVL as well, and we passed 105 million transactions. So I think what it shows you is that in 3 weeks we saw a lot of excitement and engagement with the chain. I think the main reason was we wanted to have an ecosystem ready to use as soon as we launched. So not only you were able to connect to RPC easily because we have done a few partnerships, but we also launched at the same time as our lending product to bring some of the stablecoin TVL into the space. And then we did some partnership with Slider as a props DEX, Arcus on the spot side. And we're really seeing a lot of excitement around meme coins lately, and some of our RWA projects like Stock Token, where we have about 19 million in TVL there.
I'm looking at a chart right now. You guys overtook Base. Is that right for daily active users?
It kind of depends, but we are one of the top in terms of daily active user, in terms of developer as well. We are pretty high. I think the data always depend on how you slice it. So
yeah, I know. We know the game of Onchain data. Yeah.
So we are trying to be careful there, but we are definitely seeing a good traction right now.
Yeah. What design decisions did you guys make? Like when you guys are building the chain, there's so many design decisions that go into building a chain. Like how much do you embed natively into the chain? How much do you work with external partners? How much do you build internally? Even like the yield that you give on a lend borrow, like that is a decision. Is it fixed?
Absolutely.
Is it very? Those are all these micro decisions. Can you tell me about how you got some of the big decisions that you guys made?
Yeah, the biggest one I think was deciding on how we were building it. There was a lot of question on should we build our L1 or should we build an L2 or an L3? What we felt like that we wanted to build on top of Ethereum. We felt like we wanted to get the decentralization and the security of the L1.
Why did you want to build on top of Ethereum?
Liquidity, decentralization, security. I think for us that was pretty important. We also wanted to be able to make our own design decision around block time, gas fees, this kind of thing. And so when we decided to build using the Arbitrum stack, we were able to get all those benefits and at the same time make some of our own decisions. So for example, when we saw that there was a lot of excitement around the chain, we made sure that we could try to reduce the gas fees to make sure that people could still trade. That's not something we could have done if we were not kind of owning the chain and the decision around it. The second part is that we like the tech from Arbitrum. For example, you have Stylus where you can build any type of language around it. You also have a way to create priority orders that are a bit different from the predatory mode, in my opinion, in some situations. So all these kind of things were important. But I think at the end of the day, it's what I was telling you about earlier is this deep integration within the main app that I think gets people excited.
Yeah.
They realize that our Earn product that we launched is just the first one and that we will have more and more integration. And I think that's where it's a big game changer for us.
Did you ever think about buying a chain?
We always look at, acquisition. I think it's always a question of what acceleration are you getting from this acquisition versus just partnering or versus doing something else. And I think for us, we felt pretty good about this solution where we were able to start from scratch, so not have necessarily like baggage from the chain or any story, and also build what we really cared about, which for us, we're really focused on developers. So we wanted to have a ecosystem ready to go. We also wanted to have fast block time because I think that's the main issue. Sometimes we are seeing on chain. So all of this was pretty useful to do that from the beginning.
Yeah. Do you see the chain as going back to the P&L, like is the chain a P&L item? Like, will the chain make money and spit off fees, or do you almost want to drive the fees to zero to enable all this trading and lend borrow activity and perps?
Yeah, it's a balance.
Yeah.
Right now it's definitely looking like it will generate revenue, but also we want to find a way to make sure that people are excited about using it. The last thing I would like to do is to optimize for revenue on the chain, but therefore people don't want to use it as a trading place, so they don't want to develop on it. So you have to find a balance. You also don't want to make it completely zero because then you get spam all over the place with fake activity, which is also not good for either the customer or for the chain, because now you have to develop more systems to actually support the load. So it's a balance. But I think for us, we see it more as a back-end solution to build on top of it, and purely like something we want to optimize revenue for.
Robots and machines will outnumber humans on chain, and peaq is how they get there. peaqOS enables any machine to do business on any chain. It turns machines into autonomous actors and liquid assets with ease, giving robots access to capital and the ability to compound their value. That means funds, allocators, and institutions can underwrite, finance, trade, and route capital to machines the same way they handle any other asset. Millions of new potential consumers for any Web3 service, from compute to storage to anything a machine may need, without a human in the loop. Head to peaq.xyz or click the link in the show notes to find out more. How did you go about selecting the partners? And how did you even almost philosophically think about this? Like, why didn't you just build a lend borrow internally? Why work with Morpho? Like, how did you go about this whole entire thing?
Yeah, so a lot of things were about how we announced the chain. We actually announced it last year,
right?
During our first event in the summer.
That was the ECC one.
That was the ECC
one.
I
remember that. Yeah.
It was pretty cool. And at the time, a lot of people were asking like, "Hey, why did you just announce a chain?" And the goal for us was to really say like, Robinhood is coming into the space. If you want to build with us, reach out. And then during DAS, we actually announced a testnet. A couple of weeks before that, and the goal was also to say like, here's a technology, start building with us. And so a lot of people just reached out saying, I'm building XYZ, want to see if Robinhood is interested. And we focused a lot on developer tools. So we partner with people like Alchemy, Privy, a lot more, that just to make sure that we had the right infrastructure in place. And also with DEXs and other platform to make sure that we could have the trading side in place. For landing, Morpho was one of the options that we looked at, but honestly, we are very happy with the team. The way that they were thinking about building product really matched how we wanted to build products. We wanted to do something different from the competition. You mentioned it, like I think when we launch, we are basically giving a return of about 7% approximately. And that rate is going to be stable for a while until it will change based on activity. But we didn't want to launch something on day one and a few hours later it will completely change. The other thing we wanted to do was to get an insurance to make sure that if there's an issue on the smart contract or something like that, some of the losses will be covered. And so we partnered with Lloyd's of London, which was also an interesting thing because we created probably one of the largest insurance program for crypto with them. And that required deep discussion with all of these partners that we took for the program. So, having strong partnership really allows you to build unique user experience, in my opinion. And that's what we really like to do.
Because then you can go with Morpho to Lloyd's.
Yeah, Lloyd is contracted with Robinhood, but having all the details from Morpho was helpful for us to get the insurance and everything like that.
Is the dream to pick like one or two partners in each category? Like with the DEX, you've got I'm forgetting I mean, Uniswap, and then
Right.
they're not DYDX anymore. I forget the name.
Arculus,
Yeah. Like, do you want like one or two in each thing, or is it like, hey, eventually we want to work with Aave and Spark and Camino and Sky, or is it like, look, we're just deep with Morpho and like they're great and they're a design partner?
I think it really depends what we want to build.
Yeah.
There are products where, we think that having just one partner is better. There are products where we think that, projects we don't necessarily know where
Mhm.
everyone is going. Like there are new ideas being developed on a constant basis. And
Yeah.
I wish I had a crystal ball, but sometimes I don't. So that's why we wanted the chain to be permissionless. Anyone can develop on it. And there are some projects that are really cool. Like, the morning, sometimes I look at my Twitter account or my X account and I see all the stuff that are being launched, and it's really exciting to see. But for us, when we want to do this deep integration that we have, it's most likely with one or just a few partners, because honestly, we don't have the bandwidth to build like
Yeah.
unlimited amount of projects. But you've seen it, for example, on our wallet. We created a perps experience. It's pretty well designed. It's, I think, a lot simpler than what everything else is available on the market. And we did this partnership with Lighter to really create this unique experience where you can use your stock token as collateral. You
Yep.
can, see the perps directly on your wallet. And so, yeah, those type of deep integration does require like contracting partnership. And so usually we don't have as many as we would like, probably.
Yeah. Could you ever see like bringing some of these teams in-house?
I don't think it's necessarily the goal for us.
Yeah.
I think, being part of Robinhood will also mean that they will have specific requirements, specific set of rules to do. And I think for a lot of those startups, they are able to move very quickly because they are still startup stage.
It's almost nicer that they're outside of the Robinhood.
In a way, right? Like,
Yeah.
because, otherwise we'll have to look at them on a custom basis. Like, I think the startup is still the most exciting part of the creation of a company. They can experiment, try things, iterate until they find product market fit. I think, once you're part of a larger company, it's a bit different, and you have to kind of align with the vision of the product.
Yeah. How did you think about trying to think of the right way to ask this question? You guys are in a very privileged position and like a place of extreme leverage, I would say. So there's nearly all crypto companies would love to be integrated into Robinhood. And for many that you integrated with, it's actually probably like a make or break moment for that company. And I'm sure when they have their board meeting, the number one thing they're doing, or when they're fundraising, they're saying, we got integrated into Robinhood. How did you think about using this leverage? Like, how much to flex this leverage?
I think, it really depends on what we are trying to do. There are products where we want to use this leverage to bring something unique to our customers. That can be higher return or lower fee or something like that. But I think for us, the main vision has always been, how do we expand the amount of customers that want to interact with blockchain and crypto, and how do we bring to this customer a better product than what they are currently able to get. And I think that's where, we will have some of this partnership discussion. I think, if I'm being honest, the most useful part of being Robinhood is that I can reach out to almost anyone and they usually pick up the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Where like, I work at startup before, and when you try to cold email or cold phone somebody, like it takes a bit longer, and usually you have to ask a favor to somebody to get introduced. So that's really the biggest advantage that we have, is that, if I put on Twitter or X tomorrow that I want to build XYZ, I will get a response and someone interested to work with us pretty quickly. And I think that's awesome. But you also get, Robinhood with 27 million funded accounts. It's a pretty unique distribution lever. And so obviously what we want to bring in front of our customer is something that is safe to use, but also that gives them benefits that they couldn't have.
Yeah. How did you think about structuring from a financial perspective? And I'm sure there's, you can't go into all the details here, but like, let's use Morpho for an example. Like, can you just get a bunch of Morpho tokens? Do they pay you? Do you pay them? Is it all just rev share? Like, how do you structure these financially?
We don't have rev share with Morpho. I think the main question for us was really, how do we build this product in a different way? Like I mentioned, the rates that is not fluctuating constantly, the fact that we are able to connect directly the pool into our main app, like this kind of things. Sometimes we do have rev share. So Lighter, for example, Vlad, the CEO of Lighter, mentioned our rev share. It's public, it's on the contract. But I think, for us, it's like we're at this stage of the chain where it's less about optimizing for revenue and more optimizing for adoption, I will tell you.
Yeah. Interesting. Any teams get close to being live with Robinhood and then something fell apart at the last minute?
I don't think so. I think usually, we spend a lot of time selecting the partner, creating contracts and all these things. So I not on my group at least. There are times where negotiations are difficult because we are a public company, so we have a lot of requirements and things that not necessarily everyone wants to deal with. But I don't remember something where we were about to go live and we killed it last minute.
Yeah. Did you? That's fair. That's good. That's good. Did you think about doing anything with Hyperliquid or Hyperliquid builder codes?
We've discussed a few times. I think, for us, we really wanted to build a platform that was kind of very unique to Robinhood. I think on Perps, we are just at the beginning. It's a new primitive, right? It just launched like a few years ago, and we are seeing more and more enthusiasm around it. I think there are a lot of questions around regulation in the US, for example. In the EU, we are offering the perps through our centralized platform using Bitstamp as an exchange for the actual contracts. So there's a lot of question around that. On the DeFi side, having this strong relationship with Lido that we invested in them last year, plus some of the other protocols that we mentioned, like Arcus. I think for us, it was a good structure that we could actually use to really build what our customers are asking for.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when you partner with a larger group or a larger platform, it gets a bit more difficult to optimize for our customers. So I think that was kind of the decision process there.
Yeah. How much of the moving things on chain how much of the benefit is related to like global access, would you say?
For me, that's a big part. Global access, I think, is key. We still have a lot of liquidity that could come into our American companies and American exchange that cannot because accessing these assets are difficult, or it costs a lot of fees, a lot of commission. If you look at Europe, you still have a lot of platforms that are pretty big that are still charging at least €1 in commission. So I think we want to solve this accessibility, and the global aspect through the wallet is pretty unique because in a lot of places you can't walk to your broker or you cannot walk to a bank, but most places you can have a phone and an internet connection. And so that really changed the way that you can own assets.
Yeah. Tokenized equities, underhyped, overhyped?
I think it's underhyped.
Underhyped.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're at the beginning. Obviously, if you're American and you can have access to a platform like Robinhood, probably not the most exciting for you to have tokenized US asset. But I think for a lot of places, it's hard to get to. And these assets are going to give them exposure to US stocks and ETF in a much easier and cheaper way. And I think for us in the US, you will start seeing these benefits when it comes to other type of tokenized item like real estate, art, private equity, stocks from other exchanges. Like if I ask you tomorrow to buy a stock on an Indonesian exchange, I'm pretty sure that you can't do it right away with your account. You will have to use multiple broker. And I think that's what we are going to fix very quickly.
How much of that is regulatory arbitrage versus like the technology allows it?
I think it's mostly right now. The reason why tokenized assets are not as widely spread is, I think, regulation. We're still waiting on regulation in the US. Clarity is still in progress. In some places there are clarity, but not necessarily everywhere. And so I think if tomorrow we had a clear rule book across the world, you could actually see the adoption of tokenized assets.
Yeah. And so like now on Robinhood, you have tokenized SpaceX and you have normal SpaceX.
Yeah.
Right. Do you eventually, from a user perspective, or maybe we're fine with that. Maybe there's just users who love to do things on chain and there's users who love to do off chain. The other product, pushback maybe is let's combine this and make it just one asset, and the user doesn't need to know if it's on chain or off chain. What's the product decision there?
Yeah, I think right now it's mostly separated because for the tokenized version, it's going to be on our wallet
Right.
for the Robinhood Chain, and on the non-tokenized version, it will be our main platform. But you could see a world, with a proper regulation and structure, but you could see a world where most customers won't care that it's on-chain or off-chain. They just want to be able to trade 24/7. They want to be able to send it if they want to send it somewhere else, or use it as collateral on the platform, or take a loan against it. And we should make sure that the UI and UX does that for them. But yeah, all the complexity of private keys and wallet and all these things, we want to abstract that away for the customer. And that's what we've done for the other product. When you use Robinhood Earn on the platform, you won't have to create your own wallet. You won't have to interact with DeFi at all. Like, everything is done for you. And I think that's what matters. If we want adoption, like, we need to make it easy to access.
Yeah. Where do you think about where it makes sense to subsidize things across the platform? So for example, like Robinhood Earn is like one of the best earn programs on the market today. The real rate of lending today is like 3 or 4%. I think you guys have it fixed at 7, or it's roughly 7.
It's roughly 7
Roughly
right
7.
now.
So there's some subsidy, right?
Yeah.
And like, how do you think about that one specific? Maybe we can go into Earn specifically, because I'd love to hear about it, but also like, where else do you subsidize, and where does it make sense?
So on Earn, we don't subsidize, so probably not the best topic for me. But I think on some programs that we launched, for example, in Robinhood Canada that we just launched, we are not charging any fee for the next like 90 days or so. And so it's not necessarily subsidizing, but it's like, we are operating basically without making necessarily revenue from trading. But it's like customer acquisition. Instead of spending money on marketing, Robinhood never bought a stadium and put its name on it yet.
Yet?
Well, you never know, right? But we've never done that, right? So instead of spending 100 million on something like this, we are spending it to give back to the customer, and instead of charging them fees. For example, in Canada, right now they can trade crypto without any fee. I think that's kind of the mental process there. But everything that we do, obviously, there's math behind it. We make sure that we see a moment where it's going to be positive for both the company and also for the customer. Yeah.
What's the story to Wall Street around Robinhood's crypto strategy? Is it it's a new product line, and we have 10 that did 100 million, and now we have 11, and then we'll have 12 and 13. Is it more like a tech play, like efficiency internally? Is it, hey, there's this new bucket of users that we can go attack that we don't attack today?
Yeah, it's a combination of the three. Definitely the global access, I think, is important for us. Building Robinhood the way we build it in the US in every single country in the world will take a long time. And so we think DeFi and the Onchain version of Robinhood can actually get us a lot faster. But we also see it as a revenue stream, and we also see it as a way to attract customers that are excited by DeFi. And that's what we've seen on the chain. The past 24 hours on DEXs, I think there was 500 million volume. Those customers are mostly pure DeFi customers that came from different chain and bridged to the Robinhood chain. And until now we were not touching them. So I think it's a good thing for us.
Yeah, I think a lot of so look at the metrics now. Total 24-hour DEX volume over $560 million. DeFi TVL over 300 million. Protocol TVL 540 million. Almost over 100 million total transactions. Almost 2 million total addresses, which are like for people, I mean, pretty shockingly large numbers, I'd say. So tip of the cap, hats off to you. Do you there's a lot of mercenary capital in crypto where I'm sure money floods to the new thing in hopes of a token, right, or some sort of reward. Now, I think there's two elements here for you guys. There's the teams building on top of you, who are the new teams. Maybe people are hopeful they'll give a reward. There's also this idea that maybe Robinhood Chain launches a token one day. So I don't know if you have commentary on that.
So when teams build on it, some of them are going to do tokens, I'm sure. And that was the reason we wanted to create a permissionless chain. I think I don't really want to get to every single project and tell them what to do or what not to do, and they should decide for their own strategy. On our side right now, we don't have any plan for a token. We launched with Ethereum being the gas fee for the chain, so we are contributing to the ecosystem as well. And I think we are more interested into this type of deep integration than necessarily just launching a token for the sake of launching one. If tomorrow there is a real reason to have a specific token that will give benefits to the customer, that's something that we could look into.
Yeah. When you think about your competitors, who are your competitors?
Onchain?
I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming as a company, it was for many years, it was the brokerages, right? Like Robinhood's going after, E-Trade and Charles Schwab. And I think in many ways, you guys have overtaken them in some, at least for my generation, you've overtaken them. When we have other crypto apps there have been many folks on Empire recently who've said, Robinhood is our competition, right? We look at Robinhood as the competition. So I'm curious who you look at.
It's always a hard question. I think obviously we look at everybody that is in the space. We look at market share. We want to understand if we have product market fit, right? And so for product market fit, the best way is to talk to your customer and to understand if they use you or if they use somebody else. If they use somebody else, it's probably because your product is not good. So we try to look as much as possible to understand if we gain market share or if we keep our market share. I think at this point in the crypto space, I think we're still way too small to just focus on that. Let's focus on, increasing the pie and making sure that we have more and more customers across the world interacting with crypto. And, in the future, when everyone has a wallet and everyone is trading on chain, that's when we can really focus on the competition. But, when I look at our different competitors on the pure crypto play, I still think we are just at the beginning. The amount of people that are owning tokenized asset, for example, is still a fraction of the amount of people holding actual equity. So I think we have a long journey ahead.
Yeah. We were on the roundup the other week. We were talking about the updates at Coinbase and Base, Kobe stepped in. There's a bunch of updates. I'm sure you've seen. I'm curious if you have any thoughts on maybe what Base has gotten right and what Base has gotten wrong.
Well, I think there was a lot of discussion around the social experiment that they've tried, and honestly, I don't know exactly what went wrong and why it didn't work out. But I think it's interesting that companies the size of Coinbase are trying new things like social on-chain. I think, like I said, we're at the very beginning. There's still a lot to do. And I think overall, I have a ton of respect for both Jesse, Kobe, and Brian. And so the structure, whatever they want to organize the company on, makes total sense. If for them it makes sense. I'm just excited to see that, Coinbase is pushing also on-chain, on products that are also similar to ours, because again, like tokenized asset will only work if we have more and more people starting to use it and interact with it.
Yeah. What do you think happens with tokens? And maybe the context here is, you mentioned at the very top of this, there's this convergence happening. Used to be DeFi over here and TradFi over here, and there's this big convergence. If you look at tokens, especially if we get clarity, the conversation is like, return to fundamentals and revenue and real metrics. And if you look at equities, they're starting to trade, globally, permissionlessly, through 24/7, 365. So you kind of have tokens becoming a little more like equities. You have equities becoming a little more like tokens. Are these just going to be the same vehicle over time, or will they always be separate?
Yeah, probably. I think, a great way to raise money for a lot of companies has been to create a token and to then use that as a way to create a community, give updates and news to the community, and then build an entire company around it. And we've seen it with platform like Ethereum and others. Like, this was a different way to create a company, but such a powerful way as well. So I think you will see token being this easier way, and you also see company maybe not going public on traditional exchanges, but actually deciding to use crypto token to continue to raise money or go public through a token. I think those two worlds are going to converge for sure.
Yeah, 100%. What are the metrics you look at? I mean, obviously revenue. You have a P&L and it's revenue and cost, but do you care about daily active users? Is it daily active builders and developers? Is it TVL? Is it
all of the above? I think daily active user is very important for us. We don't want to create a chain just for bots or just for a few advanced trader. We want to create a chain for a lot of people. TVL, I think, is also a good signal for you to understand if you're getting people to actually engage with it. Obviously, we have our earn product that is going to bring a decent amount of the TVL, but also all other products like real world asset and other coins on the platform. And then, number of transaction, number of wallets, all these things. Obviously, a lot of that can be, changed with how much AI is coming into play and people creating agents. But we also want the chain to be AI first. And so we have skills that are already deployed from Privy, from Uniswap, so that you can easily create your agent and interact with our chain. And I think we'll see where things goes. But right now, we've been pretty happy with how things have launched. And the question is, how do we keep on this momentum?
Yeah. How into crypto is Vlad?
Oh, he's really into crypto. He's been on a lot of podcasts talking about it, and he really cares about it. And I think that's one of the reason we have such a great crypto arm at the company, is because even when the market was down, like let's say in 2018 when we launched, a lot of company or competitor were saying crypto is dead, I don't care about it. And Vlad and Beju were actually on the other side saying, like, you know what, if that's something that our customer want, we're going to offer it to them. And right now it's been a good bet for them.
Yeah, very good bet. What is the biggest place where you and Vlad disagree?
I don't know if we really disagree on anything in particular. I think Vlad and I have been working super well together. The question is more like, he will always want us to move faster, and sometimes I'm more the engineer in the background being like, hey, I need a bit more time to build. But other than that, I think we're doing pretty well.
That's a good duo. Good duo. Johann, thank you, man. Is there anything that you're really excited about that we haven't covered, or anything that you're seeing in the industry that you think maybe others are missing that you want to cover?
No, I think that was a great discussion. So
amazing
to be here.
Congrats, my friend. Rooting for you, and it's been very cool to see. And maybe Vlad says you need to move faster, but it feels like you guys are moving pretty quickly. So
thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah, congrats, man. Nothing said on Empire is a recommendation to buy or sell any investments or products. This podcast is for informational purposes only, and the views expressed by anyone on the show are solely their opinions, not financial advice or necessarily the views of Blockworks. Our hosts, guests, and the Blockworks team may hold positions in the companies, funds, or projects discussed.